The Lowell Cedar Lake Joint Management Oversight Board, JMOB, meeting for October 18th, 2022 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Jen.
All right, I'm going to start with Lowell. I apologize if I butcher anybody's name. It's
You
been a while.
well, you might. They both have interesting last name. Interesting pronunciation.
Yeah.
Good.
John Yelkich.
That's, yeah, good.
Craig Hendricks.
Yes.
Don Woodard.
Yes.
Dan Myers.
Here.
John Borgers.
Here.
And I know Judy's not here. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Richard Sharp.
Here.
Chris Galatis.
Present.
Tim Kubiak.
Here.
Tony Perez is not here. Neil Simstead.
Here.
And I am present.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Could we have an approval for the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by John, second by Ralph. Roll call. You do that. You made the motion.
Yes.
Yeah. Motion by John, second by Ralph.
Do you want me to do a
Roll
poll?
call. Yeah, I guess we're
Okay.
supposed to.
Mike Ruska.
Yes.
John Yelkich.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 4-0. Approval for the minutes from May 9th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Roll call, Jen?
Wait, who's taking the second?
I am. Or doesn't matter.
I'll go with Ralph since he raised his hand.
Home field advantage.
All right. Mike Ruska.
Yes.
John Yelkich.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 4-0. Superintendent's report. Dan?
I really don't have anything to report.
Do we? Okay.
Don, Dan, whatever his name is.
Okay.
Hey, Don, Dan, whatever your name is.
What did I say? The wrong thing?
Dan, Don's his name.
Don.
Sorry, it's a little thing, it's 3 letters.
They're
interchangeable.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Let's.
Glenn Dan's incorrect.
Okay.
Make it easy.
Lowell Town Council update. Craig, you want to do that, or?
You know what, I think as we get down
Further down?
into the discussion, I think that you guys might have something to say back
Very-
later on.
Okay,
So
we can do
If
that.
you don't mind, maybe we'll just
Okay.
skip that and come down to it a little bit later.
Want to skip Cedar Lake also till later? Okay.
Probably,
Okay, we can do
That's
that.
all right, Chris.
That's fine. Under old business, long-term control plan, Westler Engineering.
So you want me to talk a little bit?
If you want to talk, I'll...
So, we submitted a draft, long-term control plan update to IDEM. Today we had a meeting and we went over there's some tweaking that need to be done with
Okay.
scheduling. And we're gonna have a public hearing on our long-term control plan amendment. I believe it's November 14th, which is our first meeting in November, the council's first meeting, so there'll be a public hearing where we talk about the changes to the long-term control plan. Bottom line is that there was a task in there that had to do with us essentially solving our I&I problem, right?
Yes.
And that's a heavy lift and a big wish that happened back in '06 when the original schedule was put together, and you can never eliminate I&I, and it would take gazillions of dollars. So we basically asked them to remove that task. We also asked them to remove the task of the interceptor work, since we had plenty of information that showed that it wasn't as bad as what we had expected, and they went for that. And we also added a new task, and that is this drain line repair that is under construction right now. And so those are, John, did I miss anything? Is that generally
Everything.
a long-term control plan is generally a 20-year plan to make the repairs and to not have these overflows anymore. Our plan was approved in '06, and we're actually going to complete it the plan will be done, next year, right? It's 2023, so we're
Okay.
actually, with these amendments, gonna finish it 3 years early. And we're out of the long-term control plan business. After that, it's monitoring and the reporting, normal reporting type things. It does mean that if after the plan is done, if there's an overflow, so there's an outfall, it's number 4, it's what it's called, that's where we would overflow. If that happens, and there's not a storm event or something that caused that to happen, then we could be fine. Where today, when we're in the agreed order, you would not be fined for something like that necessarily. But there are connotations that if you're done with the plan, then we can't overflow anymore in theory.
What are those fines like, Craig?
Well, I think they're pretty hefty. Does anybody know, John, you might know more.
I don't know.
You've had some, they've been in the 25,000 range, I would assume. I don't know that ours would
It's
be
not just
so
the
big,
fines,
but
then they'll come after you legally.
It's the cleanup that could become expensive.
And I don't know, with the basin storage, with some of the plant work that we're gonna be talking about, I think in a little while maybe, and with the active flow running, and so, I don't know that, it'd have to be a heck of a huge storm for us to really overflow. John, we haven't overflowed since you got here, basically, what, the first week you were here, wasn't it?
First day I was on the job.
Fortunately. So, it really doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Not with the active flow anyway, that's the idea.
Yeah.
And, we're gonna talk about expansions and things here and that kind of talk, and so, we're gonna make things even harder for an overflow to happen. We don't want an overflow.
Yeah, no, we don't,
So-
you're right.
So anyway, that's again, we had the meeting this morning with them, we have some modifications to make. Again, you'll get notice of the public hearing, you'll get a copy of the report of the long-term control plan.
Craig, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is it wise to come out of the long-term control plan early, or should we
Well,
stay?
Yeah, this same question.
theoretically, we're following a schedule, right? And the schedule was put together 20 years ago and amended from time to time. Don't think that, because this is called amendment. And, we've completed the work on the long-term control plan. When you remove these pieces, we can put them back in and then be obligated to do them, but I don't know how to do what was in the long-term control plan. They're never more than, are they ever more than 20? That's it. Either you're gonna complete it in 03 or 06, pick one.
Yeah,
But we basically, I think, I would say that there were tasks in there that we're not gonna complete.
Feasible.
Yes, and
This was something that I remember from 7, 8 years ago. The interceptor work alone was gonna be millions.
eliminating I&I is just not, it's decades of work and tens of millions of dollars, it seems, so this is something that I'm happy that we got out of.
The long-term control plan was set
It was set in
to
06.
eventually one day be out of it.
The agreed order was signed, the long-term control plan was put together, and its expiration is 2026. We're gonna do it in 2023, because we've removed tasks from it.
Really, the only way to extend it back to 2026 would probably be to add projects. I don't see that there's no.
Nothing to add? Is there nothing to add? After we get
Well,
this
sure,
stuff
you
in
could add,
place.
but once you add them, then you've obligated yourself that you better be done by 2026. And not having them as part of the long-term control plan gives you a little bit more flexibility.
But IDEM's given us a little more flexibility running the active one too, so that'll make a big difference.
They have, so that's some new things that we discovered that you know, we're all worried about this 1 year, 1 hour storm, is what they say.
Yeah,
You can,
yeah.
after that, you can kick it on, but some of the new bulletins that they come out with say that, well, if you have a series of storms or something like that, you know, you could kick it. Look, we're gonna run the darn thing. When it gets to the point where we're gonna turn it on. I don't care what storm is.
Yeah.
We're not gonna let the stuff go over into the ditch. We're not.
Yeah.
So item can beat us up for running the active flow. Great, fine. I don't, better to treat it as best we can with the active flow than let it go raw to the ditch, right? So that's, raw to the ditch means we can't control it anymore, yes. I mean, we just can't stop it, right, at that point. It's gonna go to the ditch. But we're gonna do everything we can to stop it from happening, even if it's running the active flow.
Okay. Does it make sense, Neil? It makes sense to me, I think, but,
Agreed.
okay,
But,
okay.
I kind of heard Tim, but yes, we do have to continue to work to eliminate I&I.
Right.
That's not going away.
Okay,
Right?
just-
We have some plans in the works, and we're gonna do some more too. But to me, it was just a task that we were never gonna
It's
finish.
a continuing battle, you're not gonna finish it.
That's right.
That's right. I mean, you
And it
gotta-
was a task we were never going to complete to any satisfaction to the,
It'll have-
it was a pie in the, I don't know what to say, it was kind of a big ask.
Yeah, yeah. Impossible ask.
I think so.
Yeah.
But that's what the active flow's for, to treat
Yeah,
stormwater.
yeah,
I mean, that's
you've
why
done other things to prevent that, so, yeah,
you spent $10 million to build an active flow, let's use the darn thing.
yeah.
Don, let me ask, Don, I don't mean to put you on the spot, let me ask you a question. What do you think the odds are, just based on what you've seen since you've been here, what's the likelihood of us having an I&I anytime in the near future?
You mean,
CSO.
You mean CSO?
So an overflow.
I'm sorry, an overflow.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've had two since I've been here, and they were both in May of the first 2 years I worked, and other than that, we've come close. But normally, it would take a fairly intense storm. I mean, like right now, it's been so dry, if I had 3 inches of rain right now, I doubt I'd run the active. We had inch rains, we haven't even turned on a storm pump. It's really weather dependent. I mean, if you get extreme
Sure.
wet period, and you get a very intense storm, it could happen.
But we have the active flow there to prevent it as well as much as we can.
Remember, he wasn't able to drain our basin down either because of this pipe project, right, that we're doing now.
Mhm.
So he struggles to drain the basin within.
Another problem is I run out of alum after about 2.5 days, and I can't run the active flow anymore. Right, we're working on something where we're probably gonna get rid of our ferric chloride, use alum, and we have some more tanks, and we can actually run over the active flow, we'll have more reserve, and if I can run the active flow 3 or 4 days, it shouldn't be a problem. I can almost guarantee no CSO then. But, those are projects we're working on now.
Didn't we just have a problem down there?
With the ferric, we had a pipe break, and I lost 2,400 gallons of ferric chloride.
But we had the power went out
Oh,
on
yeah,
that
we had a power
Saturday?
outage in the storm. We lost the headworks,
With
lost the
a
generator.
storm, that storm that come running through there?
We didn't have any issues though, as far as flooding or CSO or anything like that. I mean, actually, water sat, we just collected in the sewer system until we got running again.
Yeah.
We actually borrowed a generator from Cedar Lake to get a pump going.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
So there are 2 generators, well, there's 2 generators, one's at the headworks, that's not the one we're replacing. The generator project is the actual plant generator, so there's 2 different.
The generator took a spike, it burned up a regulator in there. We got that replaced, and then the storm that you were aware of, we took another spike and it burned up the board and the program, and the program is proprietary, so we had to wait for Volvo to come out and reprogram the generator so it would run. So we had a temporary generator there in the meantime. It was back up, but we didn't have any ongoing issues from that event.
It wasn't a cheap, we rented a generator. It wasn't a cheap either to rent it.
How long we rent it for? 14 days?
$14,000.
No, we rented it for a couple days, right? We did it for a few days.
It was there about 2 or 3 days.
Because the generator, we were worried about another storm coming and not having a generator.
Not having one.
Waiting for the parts to come in to repair the generator, so you gotta have one. I think, again, you guys provided one for us, I think that ran one of our pumps.
Yeah, we got one pump going, at least the water was still moving towards
Okay.
the plant, but the headworks building was flooded in the basement, which cost us a grit pump and then a piston grip motor. which happens every time they flood, because it's kind of a bad design. The equipment's down where the sewage comes in, so it's not a good idea.
Don also mentioned that we had a ferric chloride leak, and that's a hazardous material, and it did leak outside of the building, and so one of the lines, it was a metal line where
Yeah,
it
PVC pipe broke,
it
the drain tank.
overnight, you know, it's not manned overnight,
Sure.
it's the plant. So as soon as they came in the morning, they thought, oh my gosh.
We've done some things so that won't happen again, made some changes. And instead of having both tanks open, we only have one tank open, so if it does happen again, we want it not both.
Are we getting to the point where we're going to be a 24-hour operation down there?
I don't really see that.
I don't think so. From what I understand, what I do, it's not necessarily as you word it. It's really, it's particular to that plant. So, I mean, that'll be something we'll have to go through with IDEM as we do an upgrade or an expansion and talk about what they're gonna require, but I don't anticipate that.
Depends on who's working there that week.
Well,
IDEM?
they can operate it from their home, so remember that we have capabilities to operate the plant from remote
Okay.
locations. You
Did
know,
we
there's
get
no
the-
testing that's required that at night or
Some of
anything.
it I can operate from home.
Well,
internet-
we're more and more to where we can operate. Even this project that we're doing now will give you more access to operation.
The internet's working down there
Yes.
correctly now?
Yeah. And, but there's no testing done at night, so there's not like water, like where you had testing and things like that. So it's a little different, you know, in needing 24-hour people down there.
Yeah, we have alarms that call us when equipment goes out of service, we lose power. The SCADA will actually give us, call us at home. We have a guy call every week, and then I'm second on the list, so if they don't answer, call me.
Okay. Want to move on to, we already talked briefly about the generator, is that correct, Craig?
So that, I believe the generator is due to be, I think it's going to be shipped in December. Which is, I think, a little quicker than what we were thinking, so hopefully, they've been down there working, and as soon as the generator comes in, like in December, to get online right away. So, the other project that's, going on is the UV replacement, that's our disinfecting means. And that equipment has been here for some time, it's just we missed our window of opportunity to install it. In between, basically the November 1st to April 1st, we don't disinfect, we don't have to use the UV. So that's the time where we can change it out. So I believe the idea is to get it installed maybe before, we don't want to wait till April because we want to make sure this thing's going to work. So I think they plan on trying to get installed right away.
Yeah, I did talk to Austin
Okay.
last week. They're gonna have a site visit, here probably next week, and his intention is to get in there as quickly after November 1st as he can. Weather dependent, because he doesn't wanna wait till February, March, because who knows what the weather will be like.
Yeah.
So I think what they wanna do is get the system installed, give it a test run, and then it'll get shut down until April.
The other project is with Bowen Engineering. They have the drain line, and I think they've ordered a number of materials and things like that. They've had locators out doing radar, ground penetrating radar, things to find pipes and stuff. So I think they got a good handle on all that, and they're ordering materials now. But I would expect them to start digging here pretty soon. They just gotta wait for the materials to come in. It's hard to get materials.
Yes, it's very hard to get materials.
So they're installing the water.
Yeah, so they're dewatering now to put pits in, or to be able to get down to the main. So, anyway, that's the Bowen project then.
Okay.
You know, the other one of the other things, I mean, is it okay if we talk about maybe, I don't know, some future projects or some things like
I think,
that?
yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
As you know, we did get slapped by item for, our liner on our EQ basin. It's not in good shape, and it's not something that you can go out there and put tape on anymore, although we've done it. And that's how we're fixing it now. And so IDEM fined us $2,500, and we had to put together a schedule for how we're going to repair the liner. I don't think it's a repair, I think it's a replace myself, I don't.
What would it cost to replace?
Does anybody disagree with, the word repair doesn't make any sense to me, it's actually a replacement.
The replacement, because Chris, I remember back in the day, we were looking at that a while ago.
Sure, it's been talked about for some time, and I think that's why IDEM got a little more aggressive this time, is because it was to get our attention and say, we're not gonna let you wait on this any longer.
So replacement cost?
Well, we don't know that yet. John he thinks by the end of the week, they'll have some new numbers. We had numbers, you know, in
close
the $5-6
idea,
million
John.
range.
Well, I think what it was just a replacement of the liner itself. I believe it was about 1.7 million. But we are talking about, you know, making some modifications to that basin that would improve operations, basically split into 2 cells, and we're also, you know, the idea of having a pump station there at the basin to go direct into the active flow instead of right now draining it all back to the headworks. So the project has evolved into something a little bit bigger. Potentially.
Is
So-
it
so
1.3 million?
Oh, no.
2 million?
No.
5 million?
That is bigger. That one qualifies bigger, I think.
So right now, IDEM's order was that we repair the liner and clean the basin, because there's, since you can't drain it at any kind of rate, there's debris that has built up down there. And I don't know why they're so upset about that. I don't know what it's hurting down there, honestly, but
Did they give us a deadline when this has to be done?
we put together a schedule that basically said we're going to work on it, and then by the time we have the drain, because I said the drain project is going on right now, so there's nothing I can do in the basin
Okay.
until the drain's fixed. At the time the drain's fixed, we'll have a plan for whatever it is.
The rest of it? Okay.
I would call it more rehabilitation rather than repair. I don't see that there's any repair. There's no way to take the basin out of service, because you're always scared that there's gonna be a big rainstorm. So
Yeah.
I think we have to find a way, and I think that's what John's talking about, splitting one big basin into 2 basins, so that we could take one out of service to maintain while the other one's providing security for us, and vice versa. And that means excavating out the shelf that's in there. That would actually give us more capacity. And then, since it has to drain back to the headworks, right, and then be pumped back to the active flow,
Right.
or brought back through the plant, there's a thought of putting a lift station there and just pumping it straight to the active flow. Because once we turn the active flow on, we're draining everything we can drain down, up until the point where it has to have 4 million gallons per day rate to run the active flow. So at the point where we drop below 4, then it has to go back through the plant again. And so we want to get everything we can and drain this place down as much as we can, because once you turn it on, let's leave it on. And drain all your basins and ours as well, all the basins. So that's a project that is somewhat of an immediate need, and something that we're going to be working on fairly soon, so we need to work through that project too,
Yeah,
with your team. There's some other, so if you kind of remember the work that Westler did, there was some different tiers of projects, and, you know, obviously the active flow, or the basin is one project, and then we have some other projects that are, I'm gonna call kind of smaller, more like cash flow type projects.
Can I interrupt you just for a second?
Yeah.
I keep on hearing we're working on. Chris, are you guys working with them?
Yeah, we're generally aware of what they're doing.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
we're at the table.
Yep.
Okay, I'm fine then.
Yeah, we met last week and tried to tell them
Okay.
what we know and.
No, that's all
We're not
this
doing it
is,
by ourselves, so I
Don't want to be either, do you?
No, and I know you guys have some needs that Chris is gonna talk about here pretty soon that we need to, so absolutely working on. But I tell you this because we're trying to, there's this time frame where you gotta figure out what we're gonna build down there, what type of processes.
Yeah.
Because I think the technology might change a bit, right? Am I speaking correctly, Neil, or whatever? That we might be looking at different technology, different processes now. So until we figure that out, we could be fixing some other things that really this doesn't matter, you know. So we got some headworks building problems with some HVAC and some electrical work. That's stuff that we can start right now and be working on, and even cash flow, right, through the budget that we already have.
Yeah.
There's some other projects like another belt press, which is how we dewater, and adding on to our sludge storage building, because you barely make it now to have enough storage to the point, you know, to when you can land apply, because we land apply our sludge, so we need to have more storage and another belt press. Well, that's not a heavy lift engineering wise. It costs a lot of money, and don't get me wrong, but it's not a heavy engineering lift, right? So those are things that I think that we're trying to do now and trying to plan for now while we're engineering this expansion, right, which is the big lift, if you ask me. And so that's something that we're trying to work on and to deliver to, you know, to the JMOD, to your team, to look at these projects and see if it makes some sense to them.
Yeah, I think we'd be interested in something like that, absolutely. Maybe a schedule of deadlines and costs and projects and...
I think by the end of the week, John, we're hoping to have, you know, it's so hard to bid anything today and to put a number.
I understand totally.
And the dollars are, you know...
They tend to change, and mostly the change is upward and not down.
You know, 40% increases in costs, I mean, at least, or more, I mean, they're kind of stupid numbers, I mean, at this point, but we gotta put something together.
Yeah, that's why putting something together, I think getting something on paper so we can decide what we need to do. I think that's a good idea. Chris, we can do, okay.
And then, you know, we know the big project again is the expansion, I think, maybe
Yeah.
if you wanna update our guys on what you guys got going on.
Yeah, so, and as Craig had mentioned, we had all kind of met last week to go over some of the projects we have going on and the need from each community for some of these projects. And Cedar Lake, as well as Lowell, finds itself in a unique position where we're experiencing high growth. Cedar Lake itself is in the top 10 fastest growing communities as far as this decade goes, and we have tentatively planned on the south side of the community at least 2,500 homes over the next 5 to 10 years, maybe a little more, but that's the approximate number. We've got several subdivisions that are either in conceptual phase right now that are finishing up some small annexation pieces, but we're going to see a significant portion of growth in the southeast portion of our town, because right now we're running a water line and building an elevated storage tank to provide water for the growth associated on the east side of town. We have a developer who, as most people probably know, bought the golf course when it closed down or shortly thereafter, has a significant chunk of land over by what I'm just going to call Lake Dale, but it's incorporated Cedar Lake. And the Schillings just finalized a 200-acre development or annexation right there on that parcel, which they plan on putting approximately just shy of 600 homes on. And then between the two parcels on the south and another parcel that the developer owns, I expect over 1,000 units minimum for those three projects combined. We've got a huge amount of growth happening that's going to require significant investment on our side for water, but also for sanitary. So one thing we did share with the group last week was our sewer interceptor project we have going right now, and it's going to essentially go from the EQ Basin over to Lynn's Way on the west side of town. It'll be 3 or 4 phases, and I don't even want to think about the millions of dollars that represents in investment in just our sewer utility to essentially unlock the west side of town for future growth, probably for the next 50 years.
Exactly.
So we're making large investments into our public infrastructure to not just accommodate the growth that we're seeing now, but to continue to encourage the growth, obviously in a responsible manner.
Chris, where on the map did you leave room for a wastewater treatment plant for Cedar Lake?
I think we're gonna annex down to Lowell and maybe take Saco and knock it down, I don't know. We haven't.
I didn't think you were supposed to mention that.
I thought we were going to the river.
That's annexation stage 2. Yeah. No, we have not contemplated, because I had another Lowell councilman reach out to me about that same rumor. So no, we've got enough money tied up in the interceptor over here that that'll carry us for quite some time. But there's still a need for capacity in a general sense of the plant in order to sustain what we see as growth, and just still living in town, knowing the annexations that the town of Lowell has undertaken. I imagine the same need is transpiring there, or the need that we see here will shortly come that way, as well as population centers start migrating south for Lake County. We also have
And there's a population growth from the west of us that keeps moving to the east for some reason.
Yeah, there's that weird state over there that we share a border with, that just can't get their act together.
Chris, what do you see the population of Cedar Lake being in 5 years? Because you're at, what, 12 and a half now?
Official census count, which is only accounts for 70% of the population, because that's the respondent rate they had here in Cedar Lake. So the official count is 12,000 something odd people. If you add in the 30% that is unaccounted for, we suspect that puts us around 18,000, and I believe our council president, Randy Niemeyer, said by 2030 we'll be 25,000 people, and with the growth and subdivisions we have coming in front of us, I don't think that's out of the question.
So now my question's gonna be back to Westler. How are we set up for this, John?
Well, I just want to make sure I got it right. When you said 2,500 homes, that's total in 5 to 10 years. So I heard you say 1,000, but was that part of that 2,500?
Yeah, I mean, and then that's just approximately. There's a whole chunk of the west side of town that's waiting for that interceptor to come in before we can really start popping in subdivisions. Okay,
so the question is, how are you set up for it? You're going to need to expand. So right now you're running an average of, I think last one I looked at was about 3.5 million gallons a day. That's about right, isn't it? 2,500 homes alone, you're probably talking 700,000 gallons a day. So
that's just Cedar Lake. We're not talking about Lowell. We got homes going in Lowell too.
That's what I'm telling you. So just that addition in the next 5 to 10 years puts you over your design capacity where you are now. Now add in, I don't know how much you're looking at. I'm assuming it's significant.
What is it, Craig? 500 down by the middle school?
Yeah, we probably have 12 to 1,300.
12 or 1,300 in the next 5 years?
Right. 5 to 8, I would say, yeah.
So,
you guys got a Lennar, right? Yeah, that's gonna be here before you blink.
Yeah, they're approved and they've got...
That's not a normal...
They'll hammer that out.
It's not a normal development.
That'll sprout
It's like you turn around twice and there's
Well, that's
50 houses there.
my worry, good concern, because I know they'll do it quick.
Yeah, so you're at 4 MGD right now. That's your design capacity.
So we need a double?
No, I think when we looked at it, I think our numbers are still good with about a 6. If you increase to 6, you know, you don't wanna go too overboard right off the bat. I think we were looking at expand to 6 and give yourself the opportunity to expand that again. But, I don't think you need to double yet unless the numbers are,
And then what would that cost to expand to 6? Because you're saying 600,000 a day, right?
Six,
that what you
6
mean?
million.
6 million.
6 million a day. Because we're doing what right now?
3.5.
3.5?
yeah.
The plant's designed for 4.
Yeah, plant's designed for 4, correct?
Yeah, but we don't want to push
And
it.
we're already biologically getting strapped.
You're already well over 100% design capacity on your organic loadings. That's kind of an odd
So if we go-
situation, but-
We increase it, we're almost doubling it, just short of it.
Correct.
We're at 3.5 and we're going to 6. Might as well call it 7 and double it.
Yes, so,
And what would that cost? I'm sure I'm gonna fall out here really quick.
Well, if the liner is a couple million,
If that's 5 million,
I think the number we had, and that was, in the PER, it was, okay, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, 15.
Yeah.
15 million?
I probably need to update that, but that's probably fairly reasonable.
Add 40% to that.
Yeah.
It's a big upgrade, I mean, it's, yeah, and
There are new limits too, right?
Well-
That is gonna be in our permit that we don't have now, nitrogen,
2028, you're gonna be, facing total nitrogen limits.
which is a different process.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably a good date to shoot for. But when's your permit up? The permit's up when we're in 25, so they usually give you 3 years after that to be, get into compliance. So the end of 2028, you're gonna have some new limits. I guess the million-dollar question, multi-million-dollar question is, can you wait that long? The expansion that's going on right now, and
I'm gonna say we see between the two towns substantial growth by 2027 to a point where it would impact us detrimentally.
so what you want to avoid, by all means, is a sewer ban.
Right.
I don't even want to say that
And the
word.
nice things, I mean, with
That's
the new
okay.
growth, all of your infrastructure that's going in that new growth is brand new, and it's, the impact on the community is much less for that new stuff, just because there's no leaky.
Right,
you know, There's
yeah.
no I&I, there's no, you know, you're actually, those numbers that they're giving you for each house are on the low side of the average instead of taking into account for all that, so that's helpful, but, and also, I mean, the expansion of the plant's gonna take how many years to accomplish, so that's kind of the big
Yeah.
thing. It's just like our west side interceptor, we've been trying to get that started for 8 years, and we're finally starting on it, but, you know, we're starting on it, and we kinda need it, so it's kind of, time to stop kicking the can down the road. It's gonna take a long time to pull it off,
Yes.
it's gonna take that 6 million.
That's why I talk about there are some projects we can get started on right away that are all part of the overall expansion.
Yeah, to help.
But again, they're not a heavy lift, so we need to get going on those, get something, keep things moving along. What we've been doing is maintenance type projects, when you think about it, except for the UV. The UV will be good for, I don't know, is that good for 10 or better? I don't know.
I believe that is set up for 10.
So, I mean, that's the last UV we're all hopefully gonna see.
Yeah.
You know, but, it's gonna be there it's gonna make it through the expansion, okay? The belt press would be something that's necessary in the next expansion. So we're trying to find those projects that are necessary no matter what happens.
Right.
Right? And get them ready while we can, as we're trying to march our way through the big guy projects,
Yeah.
right? I look at the basin work as a stormwater project myself. I don't know how you guys would look at it, but it's stormwater. I mean, we wouldn't need it if we didn't have infiltration issues. And so I kind of look at that as a separate project with a separate funding stream. I kind of think that's a stormwater project, funded by a stormwater budget. Where the other ones are sanitary, you know.
Would we be, with that project, would we be increasing the amount of material that the basin would hold?
Oh, yeah. Well, just my thinking is, yeah, because there's a shelf in there, like I said, that we would take down and provide more storage. That's not exactly why you do it necessarily. You do it so you can, I have two, right? We have two places to put water over here and while we're fixing this one or doing something over here.
We would fix the basin now to start accommodating the expansion down the road. Correct?
Yeah, it's not necessarily
Yeah,
about the expansion per se.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the
Had two
basin
separate
is,
things.
the basin project is to, address issues that you have now. Like they were saying, when you have residential growth, we're not increasing your I&I at that point because you're putting in new sewers, that's all tight. That's where you gotta expand the conventional part of the plant. So the basin work is to address problems that are there now, and they'll be there in the future too. One item that, you know, I guess when we did that PER, when you look to expand the plant, say you go to 6 million gallons a day, the idea then also is to increase your peak capacity of that portion of the plant. And that may help you in the long run with that basin, because now we can push more. I mean, right now he can do a little over 5 million gallons a day, 5.5 million gallons a day for a conventional plant. So that gets upgraded to a 6 million gallon a day average flow. We were looking at a peak of 10. So the first, you know, if you're getting 10 million gallons a day, we're pushing that through that plant before it ever goes to the basin itself. So that's going to help. On the basin side, I don't think that was really the answer to your question, but
We're addressing a maintenance issue that exists now with the basin, but while we're doing it, we're going to take advantage of the situation and expand it a bit. Would that be fair?
I think so, yes, if you ask me.
I mean, if we're digging it up and we're gonna fix it,
Make it bigger.
wouldn't it be wise to make it bigger, so that 10 years from now, no one's sitting here, well, we should have made this bigger.
I mean, Don's kind of already done that now because it had an overflow.
I shot elevation on the overflow, and I had 28 inches of freeboard, so I added 17 inches to the overflow. It was
So
only 2 million more storage.
Yeah, we
Wow,
added
okay.
so, I mean, that,
physically, you know, we're kind of constrained at how much bigger you can actually make that basin. Where we're talking about making it bigger is by taking that plateau out. You know, it's taking up, I can't remember how many.
3.5 million.
3.5 million gallons worth of storage right there that's disturbed. Instead of taking that out and adding volume where there's already volume there is just taking up.
So to expand it roughly 15 million plus this 5 million on the basin, 20 million bucks,
Put the basin close to 20 million.
right? Roughly? Am I safe to say that?
We'll have a better answer for it here.
In a week?
In a week, because we're waiting to hear back from some manufacturers on the
15, 20, 25, I mean, come on, it's all, we're all
Just money.
friends here,
Yeah.
right?
Just a bunch of zeros.
Needless to say is that we have some work cut out for us, and we need to, Chris
No, you're right.
scared the heck out of me, so I guess I knew it, it was different hearing it, right? And I think we need to increase the speed by which we deliver products to you guys, and so you're gonna see some things, developing, reports and those types of things to try to, we gotta make the engineers rich here, right? So we gotta develop those things to get ready. I assume that we would go after funding, try to look at, whether it's, SRF or something like that. So these things have to be done, but we need to get on them yesterday instead of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And get going.
Is there a number, I mean, I don't know how much it costs to increase the capacity of the plant, like 2 million gallons a day, to increase to 6 million gallons. Is there like if you increase to 7 million gallons, is it gonna cost an extra 50%, or is it kind of based on, like, is there a sweet spot for, what we have to what we're getting? Like, if we're gonna spend,
Are we facing
if
the
we're
law
gonna
of
spend $12
diminishing
million
returns?
to get 6 million, could we spend 13 million to get 7 million, or is there any of that to consider while we're making the expansion? Like, is there, like we're making this a little bit, just a smidge bigger, and we're adding another, whatever the case is, but I would like to know, that answer, if we're, if you're gonna spend $10 million to get it to 6 million, or you're gonna spend 12 million to get it to 7 million, is it worth, is it something that's gonna make sense to do right now, or is it, just so we kind of have that to look at, like, hey, you spend that extra little bit more, and you got that much, that much more time before you need to do it again. And I don't know if that's a whole nother, I don't know if that's how big of a project, or how big of a, but it would be kind of nice. I know getting bids and getting costs and getting all that, but what would be the actual, difference of the scope of work to get to that point?
I didn't know, I'd probably put a number to that.
I mean, it'd be just kind of good for everybody to look at, while you're doing it, because sometimes it's, costs you double to add that 500,000 or 1 million gallons, and sometimes you're that close anyway.
There are certainly some processes, like the UV, for instance, where we did design for the 10, instead, because it just makes sense, right? The belt press, another belt press might get you to something like that,
And
building size, things like that.
We do it now, I mean, none of this is gonna happen until 24, at the earliest. We start doing this stuff now. What's the cost gonna be then? Going up, going down?
It doesn't really matter, because you don't have any choice.
Yeah, we gotta do it, so we just need to.
Well, costs don't seem to go down,
Not lately,
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's extremely difficult to put estimates together right now. It's impossible.
We have Bowen at the plant doing work. There's some new thoughts out there about bidding or what do they call it, guaranteed savings. It's almost a design build type methodology that the state's allowing, and it's legal, and I want to bring something back to you guys on that too, and talk to our attorneys about it and see what they think about it. But it's almost a design build, which I think is kind of the way to go. It's not following the design build statutes right now, because that's a pain in every place you have it.
It's what we're doing with our other project.
Well, it's a little different where you interview contractors and you select a contractor, and then they share, they're only allowed maybe a certain amount of profit and things like that. They share costs, and basically there's a top number, and they provide it, and some of the savings is split maybe or something like that. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Bowen is the cream of the crop out there when it comes to this work, and if they can help us bid things a little bit better, put numbers to stuff. I mean, because they do this for a living. So I think there's a relationship too with Bowen I'd like to develop a little bit more, or at least look into legally. to work with them. They're already kind of helping us out with some numbers on some things, just because they're working down there, right? But hopefully you guys are open to maybe some alternative methods but legal, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Bidding.
I think we are we not, Chris? Yeah,
I think we're going through our own
Yes,
alternative
yeah.
method of bidding right now,
yeah,
or have gone through,
yep.
BOT.
We've been using Sourcewell.
Oh, sure, yes,
Sourcewell.
yeah, we use Sourcewell as well. I mean,
Yeah.
your build, operating transfer, or whatever it is, that DOT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we were looking at that as
before.
well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's fine.
I also have to give the 5-minute bell.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
probably, yeah.
We've got a 6 o'clock executive session. But
Go ahead.
actually, for Cedar Lake's portion of the discussion in regards to the long-term projects, we just wanted to sort of stress the developmental pressures that we're receiving from people moving into the community.
Right.
And the
Absolutely.
fact that we're gonna need to see increased capacity at the plant probably sooner than later, and it's gonna be we just heard
Yeah.
rough estimate costs, it's gonna be pricey.
Yeah. I wonder if we could get a schedule, like you were talking about, Craig, a schedule of costs and a schedule of time, so we have an idea of when the costs and what time, and,
You're working on that?
Would you like a schedule that, this looks like this is the fastest we can get done? You know, and we aren't trying to shoot for a certain date.
Sure,
We
yeah.
want to say, okay.
I would
we
prefer
started this
that.
day.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Cut to the chase, let's not drag this out till 2030,
No, we can't afford to.
No, we're
ASAP. I think right now with the contractors, you're getting a better deal if you bring them in and do a whole project, because they're already there.
That's the
Breaking
idea.
this down into pieces.
It's kind of the idea of Bowen, keeping them around, keep them busy.
You keep them around,
They're
and
there
then they're there.
Yeah,
And they have interest in your project too, right? When you do that.
They're moving equipment around, it's
And we
something,
can, you
Headache.
can still keep it broken up into 3 or 4 different projects, but, start the solids dewatering project, and while that's underway, you're still working towards a big expansion project, so,
yes, yeah. There's several going on, absolutely, yeah. Well,
motion to adjourn?
yeah, we received a lot of information, and want to thank everybody for that. Do we have any public comment? Is anybody on, or can they be on, or nobody on? That's good. Okay.
You want me to give my comments?
No, not right now, Randy. Thank you, though.
thank you for the offer.
So, yeah, we need to schedule another meeting probably as quickly as we can get some good
We'll
information.
start
So,
pumping some information
yeah, so
out.
Craig and Chris, and yeah.
We need